Well, thank you all for attending the Lunch and Learn. I know that you don't have to be here, so we appreciate you giving us your time to talk a little bit about solar. My name is Sarah, and I'm a marketing coordinator at Missouri Sun Solar. And then we have Brian. He's actually one of the energy consultants. And John back there was actually his energy consultant. I'm sure most of you probably know this, but John actually is in the process of having solar put on his house. So he's actually kind of how we came to be about being here today. We got together with the wellness coordinator to see if we could talk to you guys a little bit about solar, just how it works, and answer any questions you might have. I know that you guys will probably find on the desk one of these solar guides. Most of the same information you're going to see on these slides are what's in that book. This is going to be pretty basic. I'm just going to go through the slides and just talk a little bit about it. And then at the end, if you have some specific questions, Brian's really probably the best person to answer some of those questions. I'll do my best, but he probably can answer them more effectively than I can. So
she flatters me.
So just starting off a little bit about Missouri Sun Solar. We are currently ranked the #1 residential solar installer by Solar Power Magazine right now, and we were actually founded start over. We were checking everything out to make sure it worked before you got here, so let's try that again. We were actually founded, I believe it was in 2012, by Caleb and Luke Arthur. Caleb actually got into it before his brother did. He had a straw bale house and thought that he would look into seeing if he could put solar on his house and do it himself. And you have to know Caleb, but he's
strong-willed.
Yeah, strong-willed. So when he figured out he could do it for his house, he's from Houston, Missouri. Some of the neighbors were like, well, maybe, hey, could you do that for me? So he thought that he would check out and see what this solar thing was all about. Sun Solar has become really an industry leader in the residential and commercial solar PV development. And there it says overseeing the installs of over 4 megawatts of solar.
And that's probably doubled or tripled.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that
old
information was probably at least a year or two ago. So, and then what we take great pride in being kind of a turnkey solar installer, meaning that, you know, we like to give that individual personal touch for each individual home. There is no one solar install the same. That's why a lot of times, I don't know if you guys are familiar with our social media and stuff like that, a lot of people just want to say, oh, well, how much does it cost? My home is 1,500 square feet. And it's really just not that simple. There's a lot of factors that are taken into consideration. So that's why we do offer the free consultations, so that an energy consultant can come out and really look at your individual needs. So what I would like to do here, this is just, and I'm sure that most of you probably know how solar works, but in the event that you've never really seen exactly how it gets hooked up, and most of the time, I should preface this by saying most of our customers are tied to the grid. So meaning that, you know, you are still connected to whatever your electric provider is. The reason for that being is we do have battery backup options, but there is so much being done and developed in the way of that currently they're really too expensive, and it's just not really cost effective at this point to try to do that when you can remain tied to the grid.
Solar power is the most abundant renewable energy source we have available on Earth. Solar-generated electricity is created by using technology field-tested and improved upon since the 19th century. When sunlight hits the module on a solar photovoltaic, or PV, the modules convert the sun's energy into electricity that can be used to power your home. Whether the electricity is being drawn from the PV installation or the utility company, your home's power performance will stay the same. The direct current or DC power that the installation produces is wired into an inverter. This inverter converts the DC power into an alternating current, better known as AC power. This AC power is the standard electrical current used for powering most homes, appliances, and luxuries throughout the world. The electrical current then flows from the inverter to the home's electrical service panel that feeds electricity into the household. An optional monitoring meter can keep track of the total electrical consumption, the total output of the solar installation, and more. This monitoring system often has a live display or online viewing, so you can track how much of your home's electricity needs are being met by your system's production, or how well your system is performing at any point of time. During the day, if the solar system production exceeds the house electrical needs, the excess electricity is sent back into the power grid. When this occurs, you can observe the electrical meter spin backwards. Many local governments have a system of credits set in place that requires utility companies to buy this excess energy back for various renewable energy standards, portfolios, and goals. In addition to reducing your electric bill, these credits can be sold to utilities. This generates revenues to pay back your cost of investment for the PV system and eventually turn a profit. At night or any time the household is using more electricity than your solar installation is producing, the extra energy needed to power the house is pulled from the grid as it normally would be. When you install a solar system on your home, the only noticeable difference you see is on your electric bill. Investing in a PV system is a smart, sensible choice that pays for itself over time by harnessing the most abundant free form of energy available to us today, solar power. It benefits you, the environment, and the world's standard of living.
So that video just shows you a little bit about, how the whole system is set up and works. And like I said, that is based off of, like a grid tie system. So now getting into a little bit about, other than saving you money, why would I want to go solar? Obviously, I don't know where most of you live. I'm sure it's all various different places, but no matter where you live, one thing is for certain, that the cost of coal continues to go up, and therein for your electricity bill continues to go up. Lots of fluctuation and really no control over that. So there's some statistics there that, and like I said, these are probably older statistics, so may even be a little more than that at this point.
Empire's had a 46% raise since in the last 6 years.
Didn't they have, Empire had, what was it, 2 or 3 increases within 1 year?
And they asked for another one.
Yeah.
Already.
So,
got another one going too.
yeah. So, obviously, the environmental reasons are a good plus, as well as being able to actually have some control over, what you're doing for your home, the electricity that you generate, without having to worry about those, fluctuating costs. This is just another statistic that, on average, electrical prices at least 5% on average per year, and that's being very modest in that statistic there. And it says, solar just makes sense. And it has some other information here. A lot of people, I think, are confused because they think, well, if I'm going to have to, and obviously every situation is different, but a lot of people are going to have to finance, obviously, a system like this. And most people think, well, if I'm going to have a solar payment, why would I do that? I could just continue to keep paying my electric company. The big difference between that is you know, your electric bill is never going to end. When you have a solar payment, depending on what you choose for financing, it might end in 7 to 12 years, or you know, whatever the financing is that you choose, which there are a couple different options there. And you're locking yourself into a payment which is most of the times about the same or less than what your current electric bill is. So you're not, you know, messing with that fluctuation of whatever the electric company decides to do. So that's the big difference. And then after your loan's paid off, say if you did choose a 12-year loan, you might have another 25, 28 years of generating free electricity. And we'll kind of get into the equipment a little bit more, but most of these panels, you know, they're warranted for about 25 years, but will last probably upwards 40 plus years. A solar panel doesn't necessarily go bad, they just become, you know, less effective. It's not a mechanical part, there's no moving parts on this system, so it's not like it's something that breaks, it just over time they would become less effective. Go back there here. All right. Anything else you want to add on that?
As far as the economics of it goes, we spend, as a state, we get 83% of all our electricity from coal-fired power plants. We have to go all the way to Wyoming to get coal clean enough to burn. We spend approximately $1.6 billion a year of Missouri money going out to Wyoming. So it's $1.6 billion leaving our economy, going out to Wyoming to burn coal, which pollutes our air and our water.
And they have this on here. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say a lot of these statistics based on Missouri, just because we don't have enough solar. But for the most part, yes, solar is going to increase the value of your home. And I'm trying to remember what I've heard Andrew say. I mean, is it pretty much what the cost of the system is?
There was a study done in California that showed for every dollar you saved, you got $20 back in resale value. That study was done in California, where they're paying 49 cents a kilowatt hour. We're paying 10 to 15 here. So you can conservatively figure at least half the cost of the system back in resale, because nobody can go out and buy a used solar array. If they could, nobody's going to warranty it, let alone install it. So you're going to get the money. If you sold your house in just a few years, you would get your money back. Another added benefit is that in Missouri, state law says you cannot be assessed more on your property taxes for it. Even though the value of your home goes up, you cannot be assessed more in property taxes because you have solar.
And yes, generally your home would sell twice as fast, because I mean, if somebody's looking at two identical homes, obviously they're going to want to choose the one that has free electricity.
Exactly. So good point.
Just talking a little bit about the products and stuff that we use. We do have several different panels that we use. Primarily the ones that we use, I believe they're German manufactured, but they're actually like out of Canada.
No, it's a German company. They're German engineered.
Okay.
Q-Cell's the brand, and they actually have a black frame rather than a silver one.
Okay. And then this is a little bit, these are the rails that the panels actually go by. Obviously, we didn't bring one. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but the panels are about 3.5 by 5 foot in length and height. And most of the time, obviously, they would go on your roof. And that's another big reason why when the energy consultant comes out, they use specific computer software. So they'll actually pull up your house on Google Maps, and they can also pull the weather data for the past year or however long for your specific location. And depending on the slope of your roof, the size of your roof, and where the sunlight's going to be the most prevalent, then they can kind of do a mock layout of what the panels would look like on your home, and tell you how many panels you can fit on there to offset whatever your home's usage is. as I mentioned, most of the panels here are going to have a 25-year guarantee on all of that. And the inverters that actually monitor the production of the solar panels, there are a couple different versions of those. One is what they call string inverters, where it would be all of them kind of connected, which most commonly they're a little less expensive, and that's generally what most people go with. The only reason why they would use, unless somebody wanted, a micro inverter would be if you had more shading issues. So if you had some trees or some spots on your home that you'd really want to monitor how much production an individual panel is doing, then they would put those micro inverters on the back of each panel so you can track that panel's individual production. And anything else you want to say about the
We do have a
equipment?
12-year installation warranty. A lot of people worry about the roof leaking. So what we do is, this is flashing that goes up underneath one shingle and it goes up to the nails of the second shingle. Then we go right down into your rafter with a lag bolt, and there's 2 self-sealing gaskets that go down there to waterproof it. We're yet to have one leak, but if something would happen, we would be out quickly to take care of it. Then the racking goes on top of that. The panels are attached to that. We have to engineer for a 90-mile-an-hour straight line wind, so you don't have to worry. If a storm takes these off your house, you're gonna have bigger issues than just the solar panels. So.
And there is actually pretty interesting, I won't bore you guys with it today, but if you ever wonder, we get a lot of questions is how does it hold up to hail and that kind of stuff. These panels have actually been tested, and if you go to YouTube and just type in like solar hail test, I think it's Solar like Wind City or something like that, that actually has a video on there where they're doing all these demonstrations on how durable these panels are, like just changing the rain and the force at which they're shooting these, just hail straight out of these panels.
Baseball-sized piece hails.
Yeah, and one of them even is like driving a big, F-150 truck over the top of them, and they don't crack or anything. So a lot of people want to know, what does it do to your homeowner's insurance? Sometimes what our experience has been here, of course, every insurance company is different, and that would certainly want to be something you want to find out beforehand. The most that I've heard that it increases is on average about $8 to $8, I think is what it is, a month on your premium. I've heard several people say that it doesn't increase your home's premium at all as far as insurance, because obviously if anything did happen like during a storm or whatever, that kind of stuff is not going to be covered like in a warranty. If a tornado comes and rips it off, that would be something that would need to be covered by your homeowner's insurance. So, but most of the time, if at all, on average, I think is like $8 a month for your insurance premium. Uh-oh. I don't really know what happened there. All right. I'm really not that familiar with the generators. Do you?
We can install a generator if you'd like. John has a generator going in on his system. Our standard systems don't include batteries, so when the grid goes down, the solar panels do not work. So we can install a standby generator with an automatic transfer switch. As soon as the grid goes down, within 30 seconds to a minute, you're going to have power coming from a gas, either natural gas or propane-fired generator. An advantage for buying them from us is it's going to go on a solar ticket, and there is a 30% federal tax credit that you would receive on top of the generator.
You said that the solar panels will not work if your electrical supply.
That's correct. Because you're over-generating electricity during the day. Remember how that video showed you? Right. So if there was a storm last night and it knocked some wires down, and today it was sunny, the guy from City Utilities is out here trying to fix it, and you're back-feeding energy into the grid when he thinks there's no electricity going through it. Sure. He's going to have a really bad day. So the inverters have to shut down. As soon as they sense they're not getting a signal from a sine wave, they have to shut down right now.
It makes sense.
And I don't know if that other slide's going to come back up. I don't really know what happened with that. So I'll see if it goes to that or not. And If it's not, I'll just tell you.
Technology.
Yeah. Just is not wanting to work. Anyways, it was a slide about the battery backups that we have, and I know that I told you that a lot of people choose to. What else isn't working? Choose to stay tied to the grid. For those people who would, like a battery backup in the event that they wanted to be able to run their. Sorry, forgive me for trying to get this to. Who wanted to be able to have power during an ice storm or something of that nature. We do have those systems available.
And installing one today, actually.
Yeah, and they're actually, they will obviously increase the price of going solar quite a bit. But with that being said, we actually have some newer systems that are going to be coming out. Very comparable to, I don't know if any of you are familiar with like the Tesla Powerwall, but very comparable specs as far as that, and as well as price too. So that is, and we don't have all of that information here, but I did want to make sure to mention that. And I'll try to go through all these slides one more time and see if that I can actually get to. This mouse doesn't like me.
Yeah, there's a lot of storage technology coming out in the next few years. It's going to make it more affordable, better warranties, more reliable than the old type of batteries we've been using. That's going to change everything. Now, if you got a system installed now, though, that was not battery backup, you can always add the battery backup to it later.
Here, I'll try using the mouse doesn't want to move for me.
That mouse has a problem.
Okay, because I was like, I'm really trying here.
So one thing to keep in mind, there is a 30% federal tax credit going on through the end of next year. We're hoping it gets extended, but it's an election year, and we all know the two sides can't agree on the color of the sky right now. So there could be some time-sensitive issues as far as the 30% federal tax credit. If any of you are on Empire Electric, through the end of the year, there is a $1 a watt rebate, which is going to cover roughly a third of the cost of the system. Then you still have the 30% federal tax credit on top of that. So that time is quickly running out. We got about another week and a half to be able to get the paperwork in for that. It goes down to 50 cents after the beginning of the year.
And this is just FYI kind of information, but in the event that you guys do, or you go solar, and somebody goes solar as a result of, you or a referral of you, you can get $500 for every single person that you refer that actually goes solar. So that's really all of that slide was saying. And Brian told you all about the rebate. And then really just closing up here, this is just a picture of some of the installs that we've done. This is actually the Mercy over in Joplin, one of their solar installations on top of one of their buildings there. So that's kind of cool. It was in a cross. So also, for those people who don't like it on the roof, or maybe don't have the roof space, we've done a few of these now. These are actually custom portable buildings. So in the event you don't want it on your house, but maybe you need an extra storage building, or maybe you already have your own storage building, these do have lights inside of them. And I believe the biggest one, is actually big enough that you can drive inside of.
You can drive a car in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Come with a standard garage door, 2 windows, 36-inch steel door.
And then this is just another example of a nice house that we did that has solar installed on it. And pretty much that is the presentation. So, we'll certainly open it up. I don't know if any of you guys have questions about the rebate or the tax credit or the panels or whatever, but we're more than happy to answer any of those questions that you guys have.
What's a ballpark cost for a 2,500 square foot?
They don't know.
I mean, again, it has nothing to do with the square footage of your home. There could be a person living in a home identical to yours right next door, and their usage is going to be completely different than yours.
It's gonna cost you 10 grand or 100 grand?
You're probably looking at an average system's about $35,000 to $40,000 before incentives. And then there's a 30% federal tax credit, and again, with Empire, you'd get another 10 to 12,000 back from Empire on a system that size.
And just to actually prove that, each home really is different. I went and visited a woman who was getting solar installed on her home yesterday just to talk with her. And she has a 5,000 square foot home, and they're only putting an 8 kilowatt system on her home, which is a fairly small system for that size
of house. It's
for
tiny.
that size house. So, and the smallest system that we will install is a 5 kilowatt system.
It's 20 panels.
Does it matter which way your house is facing, east, north,
You need to be south of 90 degrees due east and south of 270 degrees due west. Obviously, the more south you are, the better it's going to produce.
So if my house faces west, and most of my roof faces west, that's gonna cause a bigger issue.
It's going to still produce, just not as effective as it would if it was south. The payback will just be a little bit longer. I mean, it's not a huge difference depending on the pitch of your roof. If you've got a 12-12 pitch facing due west, we'd probably want to look at other options. But if it's a 4-12, 6-12 pitch, it's going to produce very well. We do a lot of east-west facing homes.
That's another good question you had mentioned. The average payback for most people is going to be probably between 5 to 8 years on average. And I think the average savings on, say your 3-4 bedroom house over the lifetime of that system ranges between 40 to 60, but I think approximately closer to about $58,000 is what you would be saving by installing solar on your home. So.
I have a question. My brother is an electrician, so if he's up working on a power pole after an ice storm or something, does this system feed back into the line?
No, they have to, once they're not getting a sine wave from the grid, the inverters shut the system down right now, so there's nothing. It's called islanding, and they have anti-islanding technology on them.
Okay, so even with the generator, it's not going to feed back in?
That's correct.
The generator has an isolation in it.
You're talking over me.
Yeah, we have to submit all our designs to the utility company before we can just connect to their grid, and they have to approve it, and they're obviously not going to approve anything that's going to injure their workers. Yep.
Is there anything inside your house, or is everything pretty much outside?
Most of it's going to be outside. Most of it's going to be all outside. A lot of times we don't even go into your panel box. Most systems we're going to do what we call line side tap. We go right into the base of the meter. So most of this work we can do without you even being home.
What kind of warranty do you have on the inverters?
The inverters, string inverters are 10-year. Microinverters, we only use N-phase. Microinverters are 25 years.
And let's say I have a hailstorm after I install the system. I understand it may not damage the panels, but the roof around it,
Sure,
can it be re-roofed with solar?
no, your
panels on
insurance
it?
company would have to pay us to come out, take them down, and then put them back up.
And that's covered under a typical homeowner?
Yes, it would be covered.
And also we laid some of those out. We actually have another program too where they actually do an energy audit before they even put solar on your home. I know a lot of people might think that they're, just because their home's newer or something, that it might be energy efficient, and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And what they actually do is they have a few certain things that they're going to test and do that would be included in that price. Therefore, reducing the size of the solar installation that you would actually need to run your house. So, like I said, that's kind of a newer program. We've actually done several of them already, but it is kind of a newer thing. Reduce before you produce.
Yeah, so I'm
And-
certified as an energy auditor. I don't do them anymore because I'm too old and fat. I don't like crawling around attics that get hot. But we can generally save you 20 to 30% of your bill by coming out and doing a blower door test. We do pressure diagnostic tests on different rooms, and then we'll air seal, insulate. and do all that. I'm from Illinois. When I moved down here and found out there was no energy code down here, and most people on crawl spaces don't even have insulation in the crawl space, it just spun my head around. I couldn't believe it. So we get big savings by doing an audit here.
It's on my list. I know.
So you just look at the average kilowatts you burn a month over a year or something, and that's your target number for your system?
Yeah, so we'll look at it. Yeah, we'd ask you to get all your information together from your utility company, and we'll size it according to your usage for the past 12 months. That's what we do. If we feel you're a good candidate for an energy audit, we'd probably knock the size of the system down by 20 to 24%, and then get the additional savings through the audit and any retrofit measures, energy efficiency measures we did after the audit.
And there was no additional cost
Yeah, it's all-
with that energy audit. Again, I know that's really important. A lot of people think that energy audit, then I'm going to have to pay for new windows and all this other stuff. All of the things that they do during the audit are going to be included in that price. There's nothing additional that's going to come up after they do their
Yeah,
inspection.
so when I come out to your house, give you a price, that's turnkey. It's not going to cost you a penny more.
And you guys offer financing options.
We do, correct.
Any other?
Schedule a time.
We'll meet up here in just a second.
You guys have any other questions? And yes, I mean, if anybody would love, wants to see about setting up a consultation, the consultation's free. There's no obligation to commit to something just for having a consultation, but that really is the best way for, one of the energy auditors like Brian to come out, look at your home and really see what it would cost for your home specifically. So, if you're interested in doing that, certainly he can take your information and get that set up. If something you want to think on, you're always more than welcome to give us a call at our office, and one of the appointment setters can always set you up with a consultation that way as well. So, thank you guys so much for
Here's I'll put a pile of
Coming.
cards down over here.